Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Love Experience Show. I am Ashley J. I am the host of the show. I am also a relationship coach. And I am really excited about today because I have a very special guest, Christine Psalms. She is part of a business intensive that I joined. I think I told you guys about it before, but she's one of the members, and I'm really excited about having her on to tell her story to help you guys out. Okay. So, Christine, are you ready?
Hello, everyone. Yes, I am. Thank you, Ashley, for having me on. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, I'm excited to have you. So, you want to go ahead and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Yes, yes, yes. My name is Christine Psalms. I'm a wife, a mom, business owner, and mompreneur. I also am the caregiver of both of my parents, as well as a dance studio owner of 12 years. I'm a mompreneur. I love helping other moms, and I coach moms, showing them how to do it all successfully without the burnout. But I'm excited to share my story of love. My husband and I have been married for 23 years, and so I'm loving your show title. I'm loving being on your show, so I'm ready to get started.
All right. And just in case you guys missed it, the name of this episode is not exactly Two Ships Passing in the Night. That is the name of this episode.
Yes, yes. And I'm sharing this out to my family and friends as well on my page. So
Okay.
wanted to make sure that everyone who has an opportunity to see will be able to share in this experience as well.
Okay. No problem.
Yes. Is this just on your page or is it on your love experience page as well? Or
It's just on my personal page. That's
okay,
it.
awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. That way people can find. I'm excited. All right. So you ready for me to dig in?
I am. Are you
Okay,
ready?
I am absolutely ready. And so, like I said, my name is Christine Psalms. I have been married for 23 years, an amazing man. His name is Sean Psalms. And we actually met at church. We were teenagers at the time. I had gone away on a student exchange program to Japan, where I spent some months in Japan after my graduation from high school. And my mom had given my address out. I stayed with the family while I experienced Japanese culture. And so my mom had given my address out in Japan that where I lived to all the youth in the church. And out of all the youth in the church, he was the one that wrote me letters from the church asking about my time there. And we just chit chatted. We weren't dating at all, but he was just someone to talk to that I was familiar with. And it wasn't until after I got back um, from Japan that we started dating. So we dated as teenagers into adulthood. And so from there, we got married 23 years ago. We have four beautiful children 21, 19, 16, and our blessing surprise 9. And
Okay.
so, yeah, she was our surprise. We thought we were done. And so we had gone on our first vacation alone in like 7 years without the children. And we came back with a little special surprise. So that's how we got her. But we're excited. She'll actually be 10 next month. So I'm excited about having, about, just sharing that experience on a later time. But you're talking about two ships, passing through the night. And one experience that we had during our marriage was we were having some financial challenges in our marriage. And I was working a 9 to 5 at the time, and I decided to take on more work so that I could help support our family financially. And as women, we never want our men to struggle or to be faced with challenges. So I took that on and really wanted to help. I worked at the school where all of my children attended, except our little one. She was too young at the time. And so working there, took on more work, as I said. And so I just worked and worked and worked. I would get there at 7:30 in the morning, would not leave till 7:30, 8:30, sometimes 9:30 at night. The kids would be there with me. I
Mm.
would order pizza, stick them in the corner of my office, have them do their homework. And while they were eating, I would get my work done. And I would come home, have them bathe. And if I needed to prepare more dinner for them, have them eat that, help them with additional homework. And off to bed they went, off to bed I went. And we did a rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And this went on for about a year, almost a year and a half. and where it became where we became two ships passing in the night. We did not know each other anymore. He didn't know me. I didn't know him. He's also a self-employed entrepreneur, kind of doing his thing. So his schedule would, conflict with my schedule. We never got to meet. Slept in the same bed, still intimate at times, but never a deep intimacy, never anything that we felt passionate about. It was almost out of duty on my part. So I had to we came to the realization that something had to change. And I didn't know at the time that the big D word, divorce, was, kind of lingering around in his head. And I was okay with it because I was working hard. I was bringing the money in, the lights were staying on, the bills were getting paid, the food was in the fridge, the kids' bellies were full. And so I was okay with what was going on. I didn't see, anything wrong with it. I didn't say, anything, like I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Until he came to me one night and said, "This is not going to work anymore. I'm not happy. I'm turning down women left and right, and here you are, and right beside me, and I don't know you anymore." And that was hard to hear as a wife, as a woman, as a strong woman. That was hard to hear. Whereas people at the job, called my name left and right. "Mrs. Psalms, we need this," and "Mrs. Psalms, we need that." "Oh, great job, Mrs. Psalms, you're doing an excellent job." But finding out that at home I was not doing an excellent job. I was not being the wife that my husband needed to be. And I was not being the mother that my children needed to be, even though I was providing for them, but I was not present with them. And so I had to come to the realization that I had to stop, make some hard decisions. I let go of some of those jobs. And in fact, about a year after that, I decided to come home from my 9 to 5 and run my dance studio full time, and doing that, also homeschooling our kids full time. And so we had to kind of take things full circle to make sure that we were no longer ships passing through the night. And one of the things that I had to learn, that I impress upon women, especially when I'm talking to moms who are with their husbands, is that we have to learn to let our husbands lead. Oftentimes we think that we know it all. We think that we can do it all. We think that we can be who, be that superwoman. But take that cape off. We shouldn't even have the cape on. And we need to let our husbands lead. Let them be the man that God has created them to be. And really, letting your husband lead simply means to trust in who is leading him. And if you're trusting in God that is leading him, then you should be able to trust your husband. Give you another example of that and what that means. So our last name hasn't always been Psalms. Well, another last name. Our last name used to be Byram. A lot of people don't know that story, and I'll give the quick version of that story. My husband's mom died about 8 years ago, and right after she passed away, he came to me and said that I'm going to do a name change. I'm going to change my name to Psalms. And just to give you a backstory to that, my husband is a gospel recording artist.
Okay.
And he used to be an R&B recording artist. So
Okay.
he used to be known as Sean Wan. So everybody, back in the day, everybody know that Sean Wan was that smooth cat or whatever. And
Okay.
so when he fully gave his life over to Christ and started singing, Sean has an amazing voice. You'll be able to hear him one of these days. But when he fully gave his life to Christ and he walked that straight and narrow, he believed that God had impressed upon him to change his name legally to Sean Psalms. And
Okay.
so, like I said, it was right after his mom passed. And so I kind of thought, maybe he was going through, a crisis or a moment of grieving because that his mom had passed, and it was hard for him. He was actually right by her side when she took her last breath. He's it's four boys, and so he had stopped working for an entire year to basically care for her during her time. She had bladder cancer, and it was a very emotional time for our entire family. She was one of the matriarchs of the family. So to see her go through that, he stopped everything to care for her. And he will forever be my hero for doing that amazing task, because he didn't have to.
Right.
And so I'm thinking that he was grieving at the time. This is just something that's going to pass. And so he was extremely serious about changing the name. And I'm like, I done changed my name one time already. Why should I change my name again? And talking about letting your husband lead really means trusting in who he trusts in. And I
Mhm.
had to really pray about it. He talked to me about it. He said, "You know what, babe? I'm going to do it. Me and the kids, we're going to change our name. If you decide to keep your name the same, but these are my kids, these are our kids, and they bear my name, they're gonna wear this new name that God wants us to wear. So I had to pray about it. I said, God, I don't know about this. I really don't know what you saying. I did one of them Sarah moments where I was like, Lord, yeah, you said you told that man we was gonna have a baby, that's what she told Abram or Abraham when he, God changed his name. But it was one of those things where I had to really ask God, what do you want me to do? What should I do?
Mm-hmm.
And he simply said to me, let your husband lead. Let him lead. You've got to trust the God in him and let him lead. And that is exactly what I had to do was I had to trust God, knowing that my husband is not going to lead our family astray.
Right.
And I cannot be that one where I'm always saying, honey, oh, you made a mistake. Or honey, turn right. Your turn is right here. Your turn is right there. And I'm in the passenger seat trying to drive for him. I literally have to sit back, buckle up, and like, okay, I'm here for this ride. And I trust that you know where you're going. I trust that you're following the GPS that God has given you and giving you those clear directions. So having that time to come away from that job to run my dance studio full time and to really let my husband lead in everything, lead in the finances, letting him run the household until my business got up and running where it was bringing money in to help support the household. I really had to depend on him. And as a quote unquote, independent woman, you know how we're raised to, have our own and do that and do this. I
Yeah.
really had to trust that my husband has my back, that he's not out there just doing whatever. And I'm just wondering, well, you're gonna be, I guess we're gonna be all right. And no, I don't have no secret stash where, in case something happened, I have my fund where I can just dip. No, not at all, not at all, not at all. So that's where I had to really trust him. And even in that, even in coming home from the 9 to 5, even in letting my husband lead, and even in homeschooling my kids, it brought our entire families, all six of us, together as a closer unit. No longer were the children passing in the night, not knowing each other. They got closer together, and I got closer to them. I was able to figure out how my children, learn. I didn't know how they learned. Because I pushed them off into a school system and said, y'all do it. But having to take that on, even some moms now are trying to figure that whole thing out about how their children learn and how to help them in this virtual learning process. And I must say that I didn't have to have that issue because I already knew.
Right.
And even living in close quarters, I got a call a few nights ago from a mom and said, "Oh my goodness, we're all on top of each other. What do we do since this pandemic? He's not going back to work. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh." And I must say that we're okay. We didn't have those issues because we can I came home from that 9 to 5. My husband works he's self-employed, so he works from home as well. And so my children were used to being in the house, having their studies through homeschooling. So it wasn't a hard, battle for us to kind of like overall in the house. And so it did draw us closer together as a family unit when I came home from that 9 to 5. And we were able to reconcile. We were able to save our marriage. We were able to tell others. My husband and I are now servant leaders over our marriage ministry at our church. And we are helping other couples through the life that we live or through workshops that we hold, helping them say, hey, this is how we're doing life. And we're doing life together, not separate. We're doing life as a couple, not just on paper, but in real life. And it's not even about what we post. It's not even about what you see, in the streets. It's really about how we're living our life. We don't have one image on social media and then a whole nother image in the street. We are who we are.
Right.
Sean is a loud, excited person with a lot of energy. He talks real loud, and I am pretty much a low key, chill type of person. I do get excited at times, but I'm a low key, chill kind of person. But we work, and people know that. People know that if they're not going to see me, doing something crazy. They're not going to see me posting something crazy. It's not in my character. Saying that to say that who I am is who I am. From the beginning. And we had to begin to date each other again. We had to get to know each other all over again as we begin to reconcile our marriage. We would go out on dates. Now, granted, we've got the 4 kids and we don't trust people to watch our kids. So we were very leery of that. But as our older two, who are boys, became teenagers, we were okay with leaving the house for a short sense of time. We would call them, we would go on our Walmart dates.
Okay.
And I'll tell you a funny story. One night we decided, I had been telling my husband I wanted to kind of redo the bathroom, the master bath, and kind of make it, a little spa or zen moment for me.
Okay.
And he said, one day, he said, okay, babe, let's go to Walmart. It was like 10 o'clock at night. I was like, go to Walmart. He's like, yeah, let's go to Walmart. So that's how it started. We would go on our Walmart dates to just, do things, whether it was decorating, we would pick up some coffee, just sit in the car, have talks, not trying to spend money or anything, or go to the park and just talk. Or go to our favorite restaurant, just he and I, and just get to know each other again. So to avoid that burnout that we were approaching, and to avoid that point of becoming two ships passing in the night, and now that we are rowing together, if you will, and flowing together on this sea of life, since we're going on the towed ship ship analogy, I'm just gonna go with it. But having that moment, to just be with him and get to know him all over again. And we're still dating. 23 years, will be 24 years in April, and we are still dating. Had some issues with health issues with my mom a few days ago, and last night I spent about 9 hours in the hospital. Tired, exhausted, wanting the best for her. And he's, due to COVID, people can't keep coming in, and I'm the only one that I was allowed to be in at that time. But I tell you, my husband texts me like nonstop. You okay? What can I do for you? I'm going to try to figure out how I can relieve you, babe. Have you eaten yet? Thankfully, I had a Twix tucked in my bag that God told me to buy like 3 or 4 days ago. I didn't know why I bought the Twix. It's tucked in my bag, but it was there.
Okay.
Had my water. But he said, and as I told him, I said, I'm going to be leaving soon. They're going to be admitting her. He said, all right, what do you want to eat? And I said, I don't know. I'll probably pick something up or whatever is open now. He said, what you got a taste for? I said, I think I need a burger. I still eat red meat. Don't nobody send me no hate mail. I love my meat, whatever. But, and so I said, I think I want a burger. He said, all right, bet. He said, you go home. By the time you get there, I'll have what you need. He had already cooked dinner for the kids. Everybody was fed. When I got home, my meal was here. All I had to do was eat my meal, take a shower, and go to bed. And he knows me. He knows what I like. He knows what I want. So just being able to get to know each other all over again is an amazing experience. And we're doing it daily. We're finding new things that we love about each other, even after 23 years. So that's kind of my story.
Okay. So I want to go back a little bit.
Sure.
You mind telling us how you guys, exact steps you guys took to gel back together and get back on the same page with each other?
Mhm. So we had to talk. We had to really talk and be honest with each other. We had to, and it wasn't about pointing out each other's flaws. We
Mhm.
had to really look at each other, look at ourselves first. That was the very first thing I had to do, was look at myself first. And one thing that when we had gone through premarital counseling, of course, years ago at that point. And one of the things that we had to do was we had to repeat to each other what we heard the other person say. And it wasn't about, thinking of what I'm going to say next. And that's what we do all the time. That's what people do in general. When you're talking, I'm like, okay, what am I going to say next to get back at Ashley? And really be in that moment of hearing what the other person said. And then what we have to do, take an extra step, is we repeat, this is what I heard you say. And
Mhm.
oftentimes what you hear another person say is not what they said.
Right.
They said something different. And so I had to really be in the moment. He had to be in the moment. And to also, the next thing that we had to do, we had to appreciate how each other felt and acknowledge that what he was feeling and what I was feeling were very real feelings. They
Mhm.
aren't made up feelings. They aren't something that, oh, she be all right, or, he be all right. You're supposed to be a strong black man. Why are you feeling like that? Not at all. But
Right.
being able to appreciate where he is and why he's feeling the way that he's feeling, and learning the love languages of each other. And that was the third thing that we had to do. One, we had to communicate clearly. We had to hear each other. We had to repeat back what we said to each other in our own voice, making sure that we clearly understood. And if we said it incorrectly, or if we misunderstood, allow the other person to say, no, that is not what I meant. What I meant, this is what I meant, even though this is what you heard, this is what I meant. And to say it in a different way until there's an understanding. No, that conversation is not going to be quick. No, it's not going to happen overnight, but it's an important conversation that must take place. And then to appreciate what the other person is feeling. That's number two, to appreciate what the other person is feeling and acknowledge what the other person is feeling, and to acknowledge that they are real feelings and not to dismiss their feelings. And so those are some of the things that we did to get back to know each other, to get back to love each other and to be in love with each other. Two different things. To love somebody and to be in love with somebody are two different things. And to understand that as a couple, you grow. Now, you should be growing together, and you should be watching how each other is growing as you grow together. And that was one thing that we had stopped realizing, is that as I became more important, if you will, in the job that I had, is he had to understand that my growth that in my job was also the growth in my marriage, and that I kind of, not that I became pig-headed, if you will, but I was like, oh, okay, I'm a strong woman. They like what I do. They like what I say. So I came back home with that same, chip on my shoulder, if you will. But I had to make sure that I still honored my husband and honored him as being the head of the house in that whole process. But also just understanding who each of the makeup of each other, and how he's growing, and how even in his business as being an entrepreneur and self-employed, how he was making the different ranks that he was making in the business that he was in, and the different accomplishments, and understanding that he is how do I say it, but understanding or appreciating who he has become as a businessman. And I did not honor or acknowledge that, and I needed to do that as well, so that we could see each other's growth. It's like having a plant grow, and you're watering, but you don't sit there to see, I wonder how much it's growing. Or I wonder where I need to kind of clip the leaves and make sure that the dead weight is taken off of it. And that's what you have to do in your marriage. As you grow, some things have to be taken off. Some things have to be shaved away. And if we don't do that, it's going to weigh us down. We had to kind of get the weeds out the way, make sure that people were not in our ear telling us, what to do, and your girl, you should do this, and why you let him do that, and man, don't let her talk to you like that, that type of thing. Kind of what I say, get the noise out of you, get all the chaos out of your ear, and just have that you and him time. So those are the things that we had to do to kind of get back in step with each other, so that we can dance the same dance.
So you made some very good points, some key points that I have spoken about in within my community that I'm developing. And that is validation and
Mm-hmm.
active listening.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think people really understand how important that is
Yeah.
when you are in a disagreement, when
Mm-hmm.
you are you guys are just not seeing eye to eye. You have to sit down and have this hard conversation.
Yeah.
We tend to not want to have the hard conversations, but they are so important. You can't keep brushing things under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when we do that, you get to the point where it may not work out in your favor.
Yeah.
Things aren't going to,
If you want to grow, if you're interested in
if you want to
growing,
grow.
if you're interested in doing life together, is what I call it, then you have to sit down and have those challenging conversations. You can't just let things just happen.
No.
And you can't just let it be. You can't put it under the rug. As they say, that big elephant in the room, you got to take a knife and carve it up and eat one slice at a time.
You do. You
You
absolutely.
really do. If that's only if you want it to grow. And it's not even about pointing out the other person's flaws and what they've done wrong to you. But it's really about self-examination to see where you are in your life, to see what has changed about you that may not be cool.
Right.
Um, but to also have people in your life who will hold you accountable. It's important. I talked about earlier about having not having the chatter in your ear, but it is important to have someone in your life who you can talk to and confide in, but will hold you to what you're supposed to be, to who
Yes.
you're supposed to be, and not having that yes girl, or your yes man in your corner and saying, you good, even though your breath stinks, or even
Yes.
though what you said, you shouldn't have said it that way. Let's try it again. You need to go back and apologize. You need to go back and correct that. And you have to have someone in your life who will do that for you, so that you can check yourself. You have to have those checks and balances in your life as well. My husband and I, we always we talk all the time about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about our businesses. We talk about our accomplishments. We talk about our children and their accomplishments. And even in raising children, that can be a whole big wedge that can be put in your marriage if you don't agree on how to raise them. Because my husband and I, we both raised differently.
Right.
And so he was raised. My dad was in the house for a while. He did not know who his father was, so his mom was married to a different gentleman. So we were raised very differently.
Mm-hmm.
Did things differently, and so when we started having children, we had some challenges in trying to figure out how to correct them and making sure that I said, oh baby, don't do it, don't do it like that, or and we knew that wherever the disagreements were, we made sure that the disagreements were behind the door, so that when we stood in front of our children, we stood on the same foot. That if
Yes.
dad said it, don't come to mom, because it's going to be the same answer, and vice versa. So those are the things that we have to make sure that you do those checks and balances with your husband on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis or whatever works for you. But also make sure that whoever is in your circle, whoever is in your tribe, that they are helping to hold you accountable as well.
Yes. I say have those conversations every week.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all sit down and when it's just you're able to and it's just the two of you, y'all sit
Right.
down, have this conversation without distractions, catch up on what has happened throughout the week if you weren't able
Mm-hmm.
to talk about that, because we can get
Mm-hmm.
very busy and forget about what we need to do, what we need to
Yes.
discuss. So
Yeah.
that is the time that you carve out to with one another to talk that over. And
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree with you about having somebody, a girlfriend or whoever, to keep you in check, because you
Yeah.
can in our minds as women, when we get upset, we're right. And I mean, it's not just women, everybody gets like that. But
Yeah.
when we go back and talk to our girlfriends, we're like, he didn't wash the dishes, and I asked him to wash the dishes. He didn't take the trash out. He's just being lazy, and I'm sick of it. And just running it down. And the last thing you need is somebody to be like, girl, you are so right. So what you gonna
Right.
do? Well, don't ask me what I'm gonna do in that moment, because I'm mad
Right.
and I'm upset. No, I need you to tell me, well, take a step back, relax,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not that big. It's not a big deal. He'll
Yeah.
get to it. He'll, whatever, give him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that needs to be said. You need somebody that's going to tell you that, keep you on
Yeah.
check, and
Absolutely.
just be that mirror that
Mm-hmm.
you are not looking in that moment.
Right.
Yes.
Right. That is important. That is so important, is to make sure that we have somebody who can be honest with you. If he didn't wash the dishes, why you ain't gonna wash them? Just go wash dishes. Get it done
Exactly.
and move on. Pick your
Exactly.
battles. Pick your battles.
Yes, 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 yes. And I think it's so important when you're married, like you said, your husband knows you. You're supposed to know each other, and you're supposed to get
Mm-hmm.
to know each other on a consistent basis. I know that, just sticking with this cleaning thing, I know that in my marriage, I'm the one that keeps everything orderly. My husband,
Mm-hmm.
he's a little more chaotic. So I know that I know his weakness, and I'm picking
Sure.
up and strengthening, our marriage where he's weak. And he does
Mm-hmm.
the same for me. He brings me balance when I get really upset about something or whatever. He calms me down. He knows
Mm-hmm.
what to say. He knows what to do. And he knows, well, not now because I'm vegan, but before he
Mm-hmm.
knew, as far as food, like what food would make me happy.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's really important to get to know one another on a
Yes.
consistent basis. That's something
Yes.
that should never stop. I think I just posted about that. That is
Mm-hmm.
something that you have to do every single
Yes.
day.
Yeah.
because
And then support them as well.
that too.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Supporting them because one thing, I know you call them weaknesses, but I just call them challenges. If that is not his if if cleaning is not his big thing, like
Mm,
it's not my husband's big thing. It
mm,
can take him like 2 days to clean the house. It'll take me 4 hours to clean a
mm,
three level home, including washing and vacuuming, whatever. Because I'm systematic in how I do it. If I know that is not his area, that is not how he can support the household. And that's what I ask is how are you going to how can we support the household? This is how I can support the household. How can you support the household? If
mm,
that means that we have to take turns in doing something, then we take turns. And his cleaning may not be like my cleaning, but for instance, and his cooking may not be like my cooking. Like last night when I had to be in the hospital with my mom, I did not cook dinner. I was scheduled to cook dinner, I had things ready so when I walked in the door, I could cook. But unfortunately, things took a turn. I had to do something different. He
mm,
never said, "Babe, what we gonna eat?" He never called and said, "How we gonna do this?" He made it happen. He
mm,
made sure that dinner was ready and prepared for the kids without me being involved. So he made the adjustment, and that's one thing, that's how he was able to support me during my time of being with my mother, is making sure that the kids and my dad, who's here with us, still got fed. And that is the important piece, is being able to support your spouse in those moments where they need to be supported. He supported me in making sure that things were fed, and I support him as well when things need to, when things need to get done. I help to make sure they get done, but not saying, why you ain't clean that? Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you do that? I'll give you an example. And I've told this in public before, so he's okay with me. One thing that my husband used to do is when he would take his shoes out the closet to whatever, put out his layout, his clothes. My husband is a fashion person. He loves fashion,
okay.
more so than I did. Because like I said, he was a recording artist, so that's like his thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he would take his clothes out, take his shoes out. He would put his shoes on the bed. I'd be like, why are you? I mean, they've been sitting in his closet, but why are your shoes on the bed? I never, out of the 23 years, I never said anything to him until last year. Last
Really?
year, yeah, because it was one of those things where I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna. I just took him off the bed, put him on the floor. He never even said anything about, why am I shoes on the floor? Why, never said anything. I just took him off and put him on the floor. Till one day we were doing a game night during when our marriage ministry, and it was like one of the what are your pet peeves? It was, I think that was one of the questions, and I had to answer the question, and I was like, well, it was the shoes on the bed, and he was like, what? Why you ain't never say nothing? And it was because I decided that it was a battle that it wasn't worth the fight. It wasn't worth me saying, get the shoes off the bed. Why do you keep the shoes on the bed? What is wrong with you? I just took them and put them on the bed. Same thing with, like you were saying with the dishes. Dishes not done. I just go wash the dishes.
Right.
It's done. So that is something that you have to, you learn and you grow with, but not pointing out those quote unquote weaknesses or challenges, but being able to support them. Like, how
Right.
can I support him in that? It's his thing. He loves, matching his outfits up and making sure they look good before he puts them on. And I just put them on bed. Now, does he do it anymore? No, he doesn't put them on bed anymore. But just imagine if I had brought it up and I was nagging him about it and I was on him about it, he would probably still doing it out of spite because of the way that I could have brought it up versus trying to find a different way to approach it. And that's what we have to do in marriage, is how are we going to make this thing work? We're two individuals coming together to live a life together, to live a life, I don't want to say as one, to live a life as a couple, because we are still two individual people.
Yes.
And I'm not going to fuse into him. He's not going to fuse into me, but we are two individuals under God who are living life together.
Yes. You know, I will confess, it took me a while to learn what battles I needed
Mm-hmm.
to pick because my husband will sometimes, jump on the bed and have his shoes on and he just,
Mm-hmm.
came from walking outside or something like that and he'll kick his feet up on the bed. I'm like, "What are you doing?" Uh no. You got to get your
Right.
shoes off the bed. That's
Right.
nasty.
Right. Right.
And then he'll
Right.
mess with me and
Mm-hmm.
take his shoe off and then just throw it on the bed, stuff like that. And I'm like, because
Mm-hmm.
he'll say I'm OCD, but it's just I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
something within me. I'm like, I can't, you can't, not where we sleep, not where we
Right.
sleep.
Right. Right. Right.
And I
Right.
did used to, fuss at him about washing the dishes and why are there, if I go away and I come back home and there's a sink full of dishes or something, like I
Hmm.
would fuss at him like, why wouldn't you wash the dishes? I've been going all this time. Why wouldn't you wash the dishes? I had
Hmm.
to learn. I had to learn
Yeah.
that, that's not where his mind is. He's
Hmm.
not going to think the same way I think. And
Absolutely.
those things that he does, I have to pick up the slack and do it. And
Yeah.
now it used to bother me, but now it doesn't bother me anymore because I understand how he thinks.
Sure.
And
Absolutely. And that's really important. What you said is understanding how they think, understanding even how your children think,
yeah,
because they're not going to think like us, and we shouldn't expect them to. And once you learn how they think and how their mind operates, life becomes so much easier. You become
it
more at peace.
yes, you do.
Yes.
Yes, you do. We have some comments here.
Okay. And I'm looking.
Um,
I cannot see it.
you're not finding it?
Is it? It's on your page, correct?
It should be. If anybody is on YouTube, can you guys, whoever is friends with me on Facebook, can you let me know if you see the stream on my page? Okay, so I have, oh, hey, Nicole. Nicole West said hello to us.
Hi, Nicole.
Um, my aunt said hello to us. Hi, Ida.
Hi, Auntie.
And we have a lot of people commenting about your statement about learning the love languages and appreciating
Mm,
um,
awesome.
each other and respecting each other and getting the weeds out. They love that comment.
Okay. Yeah,
um,
that is actually really, really important because when you grow, and you know what, I think the challenge becomes is we aren't expecting it. So when I'm 48, I'm a proud 48. I'm knocking on 50 real hard, y'all, and I'm loving it. But when you get married, um, they don't give you a manual. They
no,
don't give you a book. They
no,
don't say you got to follow this. And when they get to year 7, this going to happen. When it gets to year 5, this is going to happen. They don't tell you that part.
and they don't tell you what happens after having kids.
No, ma'am. That's a whole girl. We could do a whole nother live on that one. You call me when you're ready for that one.
All
4
right.
of them, girl. 4. No drugs. Let's talk. But seriously, but look, so they don't tell you about growing together. That is the so important. If you don't, if anybody's out there listening and you have not gotten married yet, have that conversation with your spouse about growing together. Even if you are married right now, have that conversation. What does it look like for you to grow together?
Mm-hmm.
So, give you just a quick example. I don't know if we run out of time or not, but um, there were times where I would be growing in my business or in the corporate world, if you will, and I was making more money than my husband, and then he would grow, he would make more money than me, and then I would grow and I'd make more money than him, and it wasn't a battle, if you will, but we had to understand that we were growing at different times on different levels. You're not going to all grow the same, and that it happens in your marriage as well. You're going to understand things differently at different times. And you have to be able to appreciate that and understand how they learn, as we talked about before, and how you learn.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding that I may get it before he gets it, and it's okay. He may get it, or whatever that issue is, before I get it, and that is okay. I have to be okay with that. I have to be okay with he's not there yet. But as long as I'm letting him lead because I trust who God is in him, he's going to get there eventually. And it may take a little longer. It may take longer than I anticipated. And that's the thing. I wanted to happen like this. I'm one of them people like, let's go, what's next, what's next? And I had to slow down. Like, no, babe, he's not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not there, it is okay. But as long as we're still growing together, and I'm allowing him to lead, It's going to be okay. We're going to get there. And we're talking about now going into our forever home and what that's going to look like. And we're taking our time to make sure that we, dot the I's and cross the T's together.
Yes.
And I'm excited about that. But yeah, just making sure that you grow together. That's so important.
And you know what? One thing that you said that is really important and what came to my mind is even if it takes them a little bit longer, it's a
Hmm.
process that God is taking them through. And once they
Yeah,
get there, it's gonna be phenomenal.
yeah,
They'll
yeah,
be the whatever the journey is, they'll be the best at it because they went
yeah.
through the process and
Absolutely.
they were listening to what God was telling them to do and
Yeah,
how he was telling them to do it. It will be,
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, and not nagging them and not telling them to hurry up and let's get it done, but allowing God to do what He has to do in him, but
Mhm.
also allowing God to do what He has to do in you, because
Yes.
we are all a work in progress. I guarantee you that we are not. We have not arrived. I don't care how good we look, but we have not arrived. And we never going to arrive, in my opinion, until we see Jesus. That's just
Yes, I
me.
agree.
But but being able to allow him to grow at his pace, and you grow at your pace, and not watching him. You're like, you know what? I can't wait till he get there. He better hurry up and get there. I'm tired of him doing this. I'm tired of him doing that. No, but check yourself. Where do
Yeah.
I need to come? Where do I need to come up in? What do I need to do? Do I need to stop nagging? Do I need to clean up a little bit more? Do I need to wear a little more sexy lingerie? What
Mhm.
does that look like so that you can continue to grow? And so, because I guarantee you, he's watching you. Looks like you're watching him. He can see your growth and
Yes.
you can see his growth, but then acknowledge his growth as well. Don't say, oh, it's about time, but
Right.
hey, good job. I'm so proud of you. Oh my gosh, you are doing it. Encourage him. That's how we continue to grow together.
That is so true. And you have provided so much wisdom in this conversation. And
Okay.
I'm so glad that I had you on here. And we will have to do another episode talking about what to expect after having that baby because things
Yes,
change.
man. A whole lot changed from the head to the toe,
Yes. Things,
inside
hormones,
and out.
everything
Yes,
is the
yes,
test.
yes, man. But
Um,
I tell you this is worth it, and I promise you
it
that
is.
is worth it. It's
It
worth it.
is. At matter of fact, my husband is commented and he's joking, saying you have to match the shoes with the outfit on the bed.
You know what? You know what? All right, Mr. Walker. It's all
Tiffany
good.
Styles said hello. Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, Tiffany.
And she says so much wisdom here. And I'm happy. I'm happy that you were able to come on despite of what was
Yeah,
going on. I really appreciate you being here.
you're
And
welcome. I'm glad I did it. This was good. I love this.
oh, thank you. And
Yeah.
you guys, if you are watching, please, if you would like to be on the love experience, you can just let me know. Shoot me an email, DM, whatever. You can let me know. We will book you, schedule you, and I will, take care of you. um, I appreciate you guys watching the show. And once again, have another great week. And I will see you next Wednesday. I mean, not Wednesday, today is Thursday. Lord. See you next Thursday. And we will find out what someone else's love experience is. Thank you guys.